All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are going to wait until 3 Mountain Time to get started. In the meantime, if you'd like to introduce yourself in the chat and say who you are, what you do, where you're from, just say hi. We'd love to hear who's in here.
Say hello, everybody. I know I got some friends that are joining. Give a shout out to who you are.
Hi, Deirdre.
What's up, everybody? Little weather update. It's like 70 degrees in California, maybe 75. Not a cloud in the sky. Don't hate me if it's icy and cold where you are. I heard people still breaking up snow in their driveways this week, which is just unbelievable to me because we're wearing shorts and flip-flops.
Michelle, it's cold where you are, right, Michelle?
It snowed yesterday, and I think
Oh my gosh,
about 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts right now. So with the occasional sleet, but by the weekend it'll be 70 again. So
it's time to do an offsite in California in Adam's neighborhood.
Hi, welcome. We're going to get started in a minute here. People are just introducing themselves in the chat. So if you're just joining us, tell us who you are, what you do, where you are, if it's cold where you are, if it's warm like it is where Adam and I are.
And just a reminder, please select everyone in the chat so you're not just posting to us.
Thank you, Michelle. I always forget to say that.
So great to see everybody. Hello, educators. Happy Tuesday. Happy March 22nd.
Okay, well, we are at 3 Mountain Time, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. I'm Cassie. I am on the marketing team here at Sphero, and I arrange these Sphero Sessions, as we've renamed them this year. We're really excited you're here. If you're here, you might be wondering how you can actually make use of tech tools that you have in your school, how you can make the most of your investment. And you're definitely in the right place. I'll let Adam introduce himself a little later, but he is a former principal and an award-winning author and a speaker who's helped just countless teachers feel confident enough to bring coding STEM tech tools to their classrooms. So before I introduce them, we do have a few housekeeping items. The Sphero session is 45 minutes long. And yes, we will email you the recording after. This is in a webinar format on Zoom, so you're automatically muted and your camera's off, so you don't have to worry about that. So many people are already introducing themselves in the chat. That's great. Use the chat throughout to just bounce ideas off of other educators, talk to each other, and then use the Q&A. You'll see in your menu, you have Q&A. Ask questions that you have for Michelle and Adam, our speakers, in there. We might answer some throughout, and then we'll have a designated time at the end where we will ask them the questions that you have. And then finally, we are giving away a robot this session. We have Sphero Bolt, or our newest robot for the early learners, Indy, that you'll get to choose if you're the winner. So make sure you stay tuned to find out if you're the winner.
Everybody loves a giveaway, Cassie. Oh my gosh, don't leave early, stay till the end.
Yeah, exactly. And then with that, I will introduce our speakers will introduce themselves. We have Adam and Michelle. Adam, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. My name's Adam Welcome. That's really my last name. It worked out as a teacher and as a principal. I spent 15 years in public education as a teacher, assistant principal, director of innovation for a really large school district here.
Oh, I think we lost you, Adam.
Adam, can you hear us?
Oh, I don't think he can hear us. I think Cassie's going to reach out to Adam. Yeah. I can see him, but I can't hear him. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself. So I am Michelle Ackley. I am the Senior Director of Product and Content here at Sphero. And the reason why we put product and content together is we want to make sure that any product that we're creating moving forward has a real purpose in education, that we have created a product that you can use and has content around it. My background is I spent a number of years teaching math, both middle and high school in New York City and Chicago public schools. I am now here in Colorado on this windy, cold day, but I'm excited to share some tips with you that we've developed here at Sphero and that we've seen in the classroom that you can take home or take back to your school.
Yeah, I think just also, Michelle, just to reiterate, use the chat. It's a great back channel for ideas and connecting on the back end. If you have links or any kind of articles that you want to share with people, it's just a really, really great back channel. Put your Twitter handles in there too, just to connect people on the back end so we can continue learning together after our session is over today. So in the chat, what Sphero robot do you know best? Go in the chat right now. There's a long list of robots that Sphero has created and implemented. So which one do you know best? Michelle, list off what Sphero currently has on the market. You know better than I do. What are they?
Yeah, so Bolt, which is our top selling robot, our round robot with the matrix right on top. It came after Spark Plus. I see some of those in there as well. So those have been around for a while. Definitely Mini, which is the small version of Bolt with a removable shell. Indy, I'm seeing Indy come up, which is a lot of fun that we released this past fall for our earliest learners, as well as Rover, which is the robot you can expand and create with, great used in high school and in those maker spaces. I've even seen a few others, some of our older versions. It's exciting to see that everyone is sharing. Please keep sharing. We'd love to hear what you use in the classroom.
Yeah, what do you have and where are they? That is a question that I ask people all the time. In my work, traveling and working with schools all over the country, it turns out that a lot of schools and districts have a lot of these tools and they happen to just be sitting a lot of times in a closet or in a box somewhere. It's like, what do you have and where are they? Get them out and put them on the desk, put them in front of students. I think that's like a really, really simple, important tip. The more that you see them, the more that your students see them, the more that you're actually going to use them. I know when I buy a new car or my wife buys a new car, I don't know if this happens to anybody, we start seeing that car everywhere. I don't know about you, Michelle, but I bought a white Subaru Outback a couple years ago, and I realized that everybody in my hometown and in Lake Tahoe, where we go skiing, they have a white Outback because it was in front of me now, right? You understand what I'm saying? So whatever you have, get it out and get it in front of the kids. You're going to get more ideas when it's right there in front of your brain and in front of you. You're going to integrate it in really cool and fun ways. So today's objectives is we're going to give you a little nudge. Maybe you've been thinking about it. We know there has been a lot going on with education the last 2 years. We don't have to list all the things, but we're going to give you a little nudge, a little encouragement. We're going to give you some curriculum and some implementation ideas because I think so much of what Sphero has to offer is taking the curriculum and taking your lessons in those units of study to a level and then also the next level. We're going to give you some permission to put these in front of kids to have some fun. And then we're going to do the Q&A live at the end, which we're excited about. So Michelle, you want to get into it and get started?
Yeah, let's get started.
All right. So yeah, overview. For too long, I've seen schools and districts purchase tools for teachers and students to use, and far too often they just go underutilized. We're going to look at simple ideas and shifts to get those tools cranked up and in the hands of kids. It's like a Ferrari. If you have a Ferrari has probably 6 gears, and it's like driving that Ferrari in 2nd or 3rd gear. You got to take it to Germany and go on the Autobahn and see what that thing can do. So get out those tools, put them in front of kids, even if you're unsure or you got that little feeling in your stomach like you're nervous, where like maybe you're thinking, I'm not the expert, or my teachers or my team are not the experts and we're not ready. It is totally okay. Open the door and see what kids can do. Okay, tip number 1. If you want to take pictures, there's going to be the recording, take notes, go ahead, feel free. Tip number 1 is, please, first of all, is start small. Please don't I would not do this, is start with your entire class or start with your entire school. Start with a really small group. Some of the best work that I've done or I've seen just all across the country is a group of 3 kids or 5 kids. Make that your test group. See how it works. See what doesn't work. And then as you expand, you can expand it and expand it. It's kind of like a house. Who's ever bought a house and it needs remodeling? Don't move in and you have 2 young kids that are still in diapers and just remodel the entire house all at once. That would not be a good idea. Start with remodeling the bathroom and then maybe putting a new roof on. Maybe you do a driveway. You got to start small with it. And I also love this picture, Michelle, because classroom design and furniture is so important. This is obviously a picture probably from the 1920s or 1930s. And the teacher was the focal point of the classroom. And as we all know, teachers are obviously so important. They're more important than ever, but especially with a tool like Sphero, I think they're important in different ways. And that classroom design is really, really important. How it's set up, the furniture, and just start really small. Michelle, what do you think about the starting small, and then any other little tidbits that the audience could learn from?
Yeah, I love the idea of starting small, but even before that, trial and error. I don't know, the majority of the country, those people who don't live in California, we have indoor recess sometimes. It's raining, it's cold, and the kids are tired of using the same blocks or using the art station. And you just now discovered those robots in a closet. I think I saw a comment that said, I opened up a closet and saw some Spheros with dust on them. Take them out, get that small group, get started, see what's working and what's not. That trial and error is what you're going to experience when you are programming. That's what we do. We debug. And I think that's a great mentality to go in with Sphero and any other tech tool that you're introducing in the classroom.
Michelle, I'm convinced if you put a Sphero and an iPad or even a phone with the Sphero app on there, and that was the only thing in the room, and you sent in 2 5-year-olds or 2 10-year-olds, and you said, just go in that room and hang out for an hour, and that was the only directions you gave them, they're going to pick up the iPad or the Chromebook or the phone because Sphero works. It's device agnostic. You can code it and program it with any device. They're going to pick it up. They're going to shake the Sphero to life. They're going to turn on Bluetooth because kids are just born now in 2022 knowing what Bluetooth is, and they're going to start programming that. So it's getting over, I think so much of it is what we don't know. It's okay. You're going to go on that journey together. And just like Michelle said, debug, start small, go at recess, after school, before school. We're going to have some more curriculum ideas in a minute, but number 1 is start small. Number 2, enlist the help of students. I was talking to a friend the other day, and their kids were doing Sphero at their school, and they were having this Sphero kind of like hackathon where they made these cups and they did all this stuff, and it was great. And they were kind of driving it mostly. They weren't really writing the code. And I said, oh, how come you didn't do the block code? And they said, oh, well, our teacher said they weren't sure how to do it. And the kid was like, we actually know how to do it. I wish that they had asked us for our help because we know how to do it. So ask the kids to do it. And Michelle, something else that we've been doing for years is obviously get permission from your principal or whoever your supervisor is, but send Spheros home, because you know what kids are going to do all weekend or all night? They're going to do Sphero. And then what do you have the next day at school? You have a little mini expert on your hands that is 2 steps ahead of where you are. And then you can help the other students. So number 1 was start small, but also enlist the kids, because then you're going to be able to kind of like that butterfly effect, train the trainer model. You're gonna get it going much faster. And I know the 15-pack, Michelle, do you want to talk about that? Where you can release it and the charging and put it in a Ziploc bag or a paper bag. This is a really, really cool feature of Sphero.
Yeah. So when we designed Sphero, we thought about you and all the problems that you might think when then entering the classroom or even taking it home. So if you do have that Bolt Power Pack, right on the base of the cradle, which is the cradle is that where Bolt charges, it pops right out. All you need is a micro USB to charge it so you can bring it home. That robot is pretty much indestructible. The kids can drop it, they can spill something on it, they forgot to shut their lunchbox and it gets who knows what all over it. It doesn't matter, you can wash it. Same thing with Indy, which we recently released, and we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. It comes with a little carrying case that the kids can bring home. We want them to bring it home. You never know. We've, the past 2 years operated in this hybrid learning environment, and we don't want them to be stuck at home without the things that they have access to at school. So let them take it home. It will inspire them to come back and want to show you the next day.
Yeah, I want to go just a little bit deeper on this picture. I love this picture because this is a classroom, but it's not your typical classroom. It's a hallway and they're on a standing desk. And as you can see on the bottom right, the kids, I'm presuming, sketched out what they wanted to design. There's an iPad. The teacher has a Chromebook, like we said, device agnostic. The Sphero apps work across everything. So as you know, kids can learn anywhere. If we learned that over the last 2 years, we know that. So taking them outside, taking it into the hallway. I've seen, if you have a friend that has bought a new refrigerator lately, keep the cardboard. I've seen schools take those big pieces of cardboard and make Sphero mazes. They have PVC pipe, they have tape, they have the human body. If you're learning about anatomy, have the kids draw the human body and they can Sphero their way down through all the organs, and you keep that piece of cardboard and you can hand it out to other schools, other classrooms, really putting kids in charge, opening the door for them, and then just providing them with the permission to go and try and find ways to integrate it into the classroom. Any other ways that people have enlisted students, put it in the chat. Let's really get that chat going. How have you used kids? Helpers? How have kids taught the teachers or opened up new doors for staff? Maybe Sphero was brought to school by a student member first. Any clubs you have, put it in the chat. We would love to know more. So classroom design, we talked about it with that first picture from the 1920s. This is an actual classroom that I've been in Nebraska. A friend of mine, Erin C., awesome principals, is one of her teachers. And as you can see, it's not a typical classroom. So really just think about classroom design. So how would I integrate Sphero into a classroom? Well, if we're all in desks and rows, it's going to be a lot harder to integrate. So think about how that looks and the setup. And if you're not ready to redo your entire classroom or the library, Michelle, the library is a great place, a multimedia space to integrate Sphero. Take a corner of your space. Take 10% of real estate. Kind of like the analogy with remodeling your house. Don't do it all at once, especially if you have 2 kids in diapers. Do it in stages and you can build it. And I've seen that efficacy just build and build and build. It's kind of like schools going one-to-one. If a school is not one-to-one with devices, I actually wouldn't recommend them go one-to-one right away. Go 3-to-1. Wait a few months, work out the bugs, make sure the network can handle it. Go 2-to-1. You've saved some money. Maybe you're pulling in different pots of funds, and then teachers are saying, we want more, and then you go 1-to-1. So scaling it, I think, is really, really important. And then one other thing, Michelle, before I get your input, is think about it from a mobile standpoint. I think about computer labs. When I was a teacher, our kids could really only do technology when we went to the computer lab twice a week for 30 minutes. And obviously with iPads and Chromebooks and mobile devices, that has changed. So if a student needs a Sphero to learn a concept in geography or science, or they're learning about math, like that last picture, that can and should happen anywhere. So as a former classroom teacher, Michelle, or just the work that you do with Sphero, what other things do you have to think about with classroom design, or maybe sending those home with designing lessons and then having kids come back and teach their peers? What do you think about that?
Yeah, when I talk to teachers, the questions are always classroom management. How do I manage these? How do I make sure? How do I trust that the kids are doing the right thing on it? The great thing about something like Sphero, it is a true level of engagement. I actually, right before this, I was talking to a group of teachers who were teaching a lesson with adding or multiplying and dividing decimals. And in the classroom, they had their small group where the teacher was teaching a small group. There's the kind of do-it-yourself worksheet station, but then actually out in the hallway, she had a whole thing set up where they would program Bolt to go to different answers and along the steps along the way. She didn't have to worry about the kids in the hallway because they wanted to do it. They kept each other accountable because nobody wanted to go back into the classroom and do that worksheet again, or the assessment that she had set up.
Yeah.
So those are the things, those are the ways that you engage your students in giving them the motivation and trust them to do it. And you know what, if they pull out the driving function potentially on the app and move away from the coding, it's okay, because you know what, they're still multiplying and dividing decimals.
Sure.
And that was the goal of it. And it was a way to engage them in a new way.
Yeah, the hardest part is just pulling the cork out. And then once the cork's out, it's going to flow. They need us in different ways. Educators, you're the expert in the kids and the curriculum and the relationships. And if you're not quite the expert, or you don't quite feel comfortable with something new or going to another level, depth of knowledge 3 and 4, maybe with really getting complex, it's okay. You're going to get there, but really, really trust those kids. Okay, let's move on to tip 4. Don't overthink it. And I think that's just really a good analogy for so many things, Michelle. But I would say initially, I love this picture because it looks so simple. And the other day, you and I were talking, you're like, Adam, it's simple because it's blocks in a library, but it's also really complex. If you think about it, you have a student on a MacBook, so they're coding. It looks like an iPad on the left, and there's a lot of different things going on. So don't overthink it. Blocks, tape. Hey, chalk. In California, we can go outside pretty much all year round. You can do chalk on the blacktop during recess, or just get kids outside learning. So to get started, don't overthink it. Use blocks and get started. Michelle, I remember when you said, Adam, it's simple, but it's also really complex. And I really made me think, you're right, it is really complex.
Yeah, when I look at this photo, being a teacher in New York City, I was like, we didn't have that space. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. How am I going to, I taught in a K-8 school. I was like, how am I going to reserve that big of a space to program, to do these mazes, these cool, complex mazes that I'm seeing all these teachers on Twitter put on? It doesn't have to be that. We want the students to learn the basics, which here is navigating a maze. The first step is a simple roll block, go forward. Well, I can go forward on a desk. Then maybe we rotate groups. The next one is make a 90-degree turn to the left. They program that and they keep adding on. And eventually it's just a small step-by-step. It can be done on a desk. It can be done just in the small, narrow spaces that you have between desks. So again, don't overthink it. It's okay if it drops on the floor, as we've talked about. Use what you have, use books, use pencils, use markers, use paper. It doesn't have to be crazy complex, because the real goal here is sometimes it's not even programming. It's just basic computational thinking, which is how to problem solve. And to let your students do that problem solving with you, let them create the space.
You know, Michelle, there's a saying I've heard many times: most things never get done because they never get started. So if you're not sure where to start, just get blocks or tape or chalk or red Solo cups and put them out and have kids start coding. Your teacher brain, your leadership brain is going to start thinking like, oh, I can do this or I can do that. I've done Sphero with 7th grade, 8th grade math teachers that have a much different brain than I have. And at first they're like, I can't use these in my classroom. Adam, what are you talking about? We start using Sphero, just kind of playing around in a space like this. And their brain goes boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, because you just opened them up to something completely different. But you just got to get started. Pull the cork, cut the tape, get started. Any analogy you want to lose, you understand what we're talking about. Let's move on. Tip number 5, we have a video we're going to show. So kind of just mini lesson and go. This is actually a group of students that I was working with, English learners. No student in this class actually was proficient in English. I gave them a 3-minute mini lesson on how to use Sphero. I plugged the iPad into the smart board, showed them the drag and drop. We put tape on the ground. We gave them a protractor because, as you know, there's math involved. And we said, here you go, solve the problems. And they were just absolutely loving it. That little boy right there, he was the best programmer of all. He solved all the problems. I was getting ready to leave for that day, and he said, and the teacher, she said, Adam, when can you come back? The kids loved it. Other teachers were coming by, kind of looking in the window. They're like, we want to do that too. So can you come back and teach all the other classes? And I said, you don't need me, Jenny. You got him. Get a little badge, little lanyard, little teacher badge right on there, Sphero Guru or Sphero Ninja. Have him go around to teach all the other classes. She said, let me tell you about that student. Never does his work. He's always in trouble. He doesn't have many friends. And when I hear that, Sphero is not just a robot. It is not just a tool. It's a bridge to build relationships with kids. It's a bridge to have a student feel better maybe about their learning and integrating with the classroom and like, oh, this is the language that I speak. This is what I understand. I love this. I can do this. So the don't overthinking it part is it speaks any language and it gets kids involved. And as you know, there's often the kids that maybe don't connect with that worksheet curriculum or how maybe we have typically or historically done school that really speaks to them. And when you put them in charge, they feel better about themselves. Their confidence is higher. And the class starts to look at them in a different way. And they go, oh, wow, look at this kid. Kind of like that song from Hamilton. Look at this kid. What's he going to do? I think that's a song from Hamilton. My kids play the soundtrack all the time. Educators, you know what I'm talking about. Get it in front of kids, put some tape, protractors, and it's gonna step off from there. It really is. So let's level up. I dropped DOK earlier, depth of knowledge, and a lot of things I think in education sometimes, or maybe 0 and 1, just kind of that memorization and regurgitation. Let's get to 3 and 4, where there's problem solving. Kids are thinking and collaborating and problem solving. Because as you all know, whatever job you get in 2022, you're gonna need those skills. We don't need consumers of information. So you can have kids 3D print components, chariots. You can see chariots right here with little Legos and little, I think my kids have those little clippy things. The girl on the right, they have chariots. Michelle, what are those exactly?
The connects.
Oh, the connects. Yes.
Clippy
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I was working with a 3rd grade class and they were reading Charlotte's Web. And some of the kids weren't super interested in that book. So I left and got a big piece of cardboard and we brought some art into it. Put in the chat, who thinks that the A in STEAM gets dropped too often to STEM? The A's got to get back up at there. It's STEAM. We got the big piece of cardboard and we drew the farm. We drew the barn and the kids were coding the barn and the farm in Charlotte's Web. Kids that weren't even interested in the book previously were like, when can we do more of that? Because you brought some technology into a language arts lesson. That's transformation. Don't use technology as a substitution for maybe what we used to do. Use it as a tool to bring kids to a place that you could not have if you didn't have the technology. What other level up ideas or resources? I know Sphero has a ton of resources on the blog and the app, and I think somebody from the team is going to drop a bunch of those links into the chat. But Michelle, what else do you have to share?
Yeah, so no matter what you teach, we have something for you. From the 3D printing, you can go to Thingiverse and find the things that our team has created, as well as other educators sharing out, whether it is 3D printed maze walls or chariots or a pen holder, or just here, use some pipe cleaners and, pull out the Legos. Those work just as well. Adam, you mentioned the A in STEAM, and we are very passionate here about the A in STEAM, even though STEM is our core. So when I think of all the activities and lessons we've created around the A in STEAM, whether it is storytelling and having the robot tell that story.
Yes.
I saw a teacher put up a green screen, and every group within the classroom had to recreate a portion of the book that they were reading.
Oh, I love
they
that.
got really invested in it. Or I saw Lisa on here put a chat about, she's a music teacher. And one of the core programming things that we do is functions. Well, functions exist in every single song when you think about the chorus, and there's a whole activity with Bolt and the A in STEAM and programming a song and dance. So it is a way to bring STEM to those art students and get them excited about it.
100%.
Or vice versa, where kids who never thought they were good at art can now excel as well.
How about geography? So on the screen now is a picture of a map that some 7th graders in a social studies class made. They were learning about the Silk Road, Michelle. And one of the students raised their hand and said, can we code the Silk Road with the Sphero? Because they had Sphero in the class, and the teacher said, we can try. And the kids got their book, textbook with the map, and they got the tape, and they built the Silk Road, and they started coding it with the robot. And the teacher was like, do this and pause the code and give a fact. And I don't know about you all, but if I'm only learning about the Silk Road in a textbook, I don't know how much I'm really going to retain and then remember. But if I'm given an experience, kids remember experiences. It's why field trips and learning like that is so important. Put kids in charge of it. And, if you're thinking, or if parents come to you and they're like, why are we doing robots? Why are we integrating 3D printing with robots? Now, if you go to any business magazine, or if you've been in an airport recently, I'm in airports every week, and every airport I'm in, there's a little robot going down the terminal. And if you follow that robot, they have food in the robot because somebody at the gate ordered food, and they're taking it from the restaurant to that customer waiting on their flight. Amazon, Walmart, hotels, you name it. What I'm getting at is it's a job and a career in 2022 that really probably didn't exist 5 years ago. Sphero is such that incubator and the next levels to get started. It's leveling up in so many ways. Take a geography lesson that may not be super exciting and see what you can do with Spheros. We can't just do this, my friends. This is substitution. We need transformation. First off, you know how I feel about having all the kids in the rows, put tables and beanbags, chairs, and get little nooks, little creation nooks and innovative corners of your classroom and integrate it to next levels. Don't transform the learning. Don't substitute. Transform it. I want to have time for the Q&A, Michelle. So let's make sure we get through these last couple of slides. If you're wondering what the super non-creative idea with the tech thing, just get a little piece of plastic and write on their tech support or Sphero Guru or Coding Ninja. Make it sound cool, Michelle, right? Like, don't just put on their AV helper, audio visual. Make it sound cool. Give the kids the lanyard. Have them go and help their classmates. Have them go down the hall and help another teacher in another class. Have them help a pre-K teacher that maybe is a little bit nervous to integrate it with their class because they have 24 or 36-year-olds, and that could be intimidating. Put kids at your school, give them a job, put them to work, and have them go and help them out. Did we mention that Sphero's been on the cover of Time Magazine twice? I mean, last year in 2021, and I think previously, Michelle, am I correct on that?
I believe so, in our earlier days.
Yeah.
But this was super exciting for us this past year to be on the cover of Time Magazine as one of the best inventions of 2021, which is, for an educational tool, which is teaching computational thinking with a robot to kids ages 4 to 8. So that it was Indy. So if you look just to the right of the little fluffy guy, so Indy is our latest robot that we've released, and we really designed it for our early learners, our non-readers, and it's screenless. So when you think of Bolt and you think of Rover and you think of Mini, you always have to bring up that device. Well, specifically with these younger kids, we want to get them away from the screen and we want them collaborating. the most important thing that sometimes people forget about in programming is that collaboration piece. So with Indy, you can program using colors. You can see the tiles in this picture where every color is a command. It has a specific function, whether it's go, turn left, turn right, stop, or celebrate. And seeing that the students collaborate and start learning those problem-solving skills at a really early age is important, because then they move on to block programming and then text programming by time they're in 4th and 5th grade. Because as Adam has mentioned already, how important these skills are for the jobs of the future. So we have to start them earlier, but we also have to engage them earlier, and bringing them with a screen and a robot at the same time can be overwhelming. This little robot, if you can see it, it fits in your hand. You can design it, put a little fun stickers on it. It's a ton of fun. So if you haven't tested it out, definitely look at our website, check it out, and see what kids at the age of 4 and 5 are doing.
Yeah, and you can do it on a table. You can do it on the carpet. It's so multifaceted, which I love. A question that I get all the time across the country is, I teach the little kids, how does that fit? And I mean, this is such an answer to a lot of those questions. So way to go. And congrats again, Sphero, on being on the cover of Time magazine. Educators, remember 3 things as you go forth. Think big, act small. If you think big and you act big, I think it's really hard to sustain and maintain that. Take your big idea and chunk it out into little steps. I'm going to do just this today. I'm going to do just that tomorrow. I'm going to build it as I go. The second one, involve the kids. The sooner you can involve the kids and get them to own the learning, get them to know what they're doing, and actually let them become the experts, you can take a little step back and you can really think about the curriculum, work on those relationships, and move the lessons to other levels and go farther and faster and deeper than you ever could have if you hadn't involved the kids. And also start now. The best time to start was a year ago, because just think about where you would be right now. The second best time to start is tomorrow. If you have any kind of Sphero product, any kind of tech tool, start tomorrow. It's 2:35 p.m. in California. You don't need to plan a big lesson wherever you are in the country or the world. Just take one little bit, take one student or 2 students and do it for 7 minutes. You don't need to do it for 45 minutes or an hour and a half. Don't do that. Do it for 5 minutes or 7 minutes and just get started. It's going to build from there. Michelle, let's get to some questions. I know the team has been getting some questions. So Cassie, do you want to ask the questions that people want to know about?
Yeah, I think I'm going to combine a couple questions just because there have been several around this topic, but I think this is good for Michelle. And then Adam, if you want to weigh in. Basically, people are wondering for various grade levels. I know we talked about Indy for the early learners, but for other ages, what robots do you recommend for those? And then how many robots per student?
Yeah. So definitely Indy, that pre-K through 2nd grade. The great thing about Indy is not only is that screenless learning, we do have the Sphero EDU Junior app, which actually levels it up and starts to introduce that basic block programming. From there, we recommend either Mini, which is the slightly less expensive option to Bolt. It's great for that upper elementary. And if not Mini, then definitely Bolt. Bolt, you can program in 3 ways: draw, or blocks, which are built off Scratch blocks, and then text, which is JavaScript. It is packed with sensors, so you can do things as simple as drive or program it forward in all the directions, or its LEDs, or take it much further using the IR sensors or the ambient light sensors or anything mixed in between. And then that will take you through middle school. Once you get to high school, we definitely recommend Rover. The great thing about Rover is its expansion capability. You can add in a Raspberry Pi and start with Python, or you can use an Arduino and use C++. So it's the ability to take it further and really build into those engineering classes. We also have Little Bits. I don't want to forget about those at all either. It is a great prototyping type tool that you can introduce to your elementary and middle school students as well.
I have nothing to add. That was perfect. Next question, Cassie.
Oh, and then you did say number of students. We recommend 2 to 3 to 1. I'm a firm believer in collaboration. Adam, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that ratio, but 2 to 1, it is great to collaborate.
It's always better with a partner. I see learning going so much farther, so much faster when you can talk through a problem, especially a challenging one, with a partner. And educators out there, if you're like, hey, we have none of this, where should I start? I would say the mini. And get a mini and use it and take videos and have kids write about what they're doing. So then you want to get more, invite your principal into your classroom or the library, or invite the superintendent in. I work with superintendents on a weekly basis. So many of them don't know the deeper of what's happening. Invite them in. Hey, we're doing a Sphero Smackdown or a Sphero Challenge, and have them come in and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then you say, yeah, we could use 3 or 5 more. They're already hooked. They're seeing the kids engaged and learning in different ways, and there's no behavior problems because everybody's busy problem solving and collaborating, and they're not doing worksheets. That would be a decent step. I think we're going to share how to get a hold of us. If you want to get a hold of me, it's Mr. Adam Welcome on Twitter. That's just the best way if you have another question about that. And I would also say follow Sphero, just at Sphero on Twitter. I know when I was an active principal, that was a way that we got so many ideas, because Sphero is great about sharing content and also retweeting and resharing what other educators are doing. Such a great way just to build the collaboration, take your idea, sprinkle on some other ideas, what other people are doing, and make it even better. Okay, next question.
Yes. Earlier we had a really good question. How do you get them away from driving to coding? Do you not put the app on iPad?
I used to tell students we don't drive. It's kind of like, I know y'all know the song "We Don't Talk About Bruno" because everybody is singing "We Don't Talk About Bruno" from Encanto, and make it fun. Be like, we don't drive. And Michelle said earlier, if they happen to switch over to driving, I guess that would be fine. I know as a school leader, I just said we don't drive because you can drive at home with your remote control car, or maybe they have to earn the driving. I want to use Sphero to take learning to other levels, and the driving is fun, and maybe you're doing that with art. But when you're like solving a problem, I just say, look at me, and we don't drive. Michelle, what input do you have about that?
Yeah, we recommend get it out of the way. Day 1, let them drive, see how it works, learn a little bit about aiming, let them drive it into the walls, right? That this is their day to drive. And then after that, we move along. They now know how it drives, but guess what? You can't use any of the sensors while driving.
Yeah,
so
sure.
If you want your robot to do the really cool things, you need to program it and show them that. Go find one of our amazing programs within the Sphero EDU app. Just go to programs and look at those Sphero created ones. You don't have to create it. Literally connect a robot and hit start. Show them, what it's capable of doing. So after you get that driving out of the way, show them the possibilities, and they'll never want to go back.
Yeah, Cassie, too, I'm just gonna, if I can interject an idea. If you have Chromebooks in your district, save the boxes and just put things in the Chromebooks. Put blocks, put cups, put plastic tubing, and then kind of like an escape room, but like it's for Sphero. And this is a course, and you give them to the kids, and you say, hey, open this box. In this box, there are items that you can use for your course, and you're going to build the course, and then your classmates are going to come and they have to code the course that you built. And it's like this excitement. It's kind of like, I got to get off the island. How do I build this contraption? And you start there. Get your Chromebook boxes, put stuff in them, give kids a Spheros. Take out your Spheros. If you haven't used them, charge them up. Michelle said she's seen them with dust on them. Dust them off, charge them up, and just give them to kids. Give them a Chromebook box with stuff and just plan 30 minutes. That's going to be the start. That's going to be the butterfly effect of more and more and more.
That's great. Let me see if I have anything else for everyone. I mean, this is a good question. Nate answered it, but we only have 2 minutes. Sorry, Nate answered the question. So we're all good on questions. we should probably move to the giveaway.
Giveaway.
Yes, and we select from people who are currently on the webinar, and it looks like Debbie Kovedsi is our winner. So
Debbie.
congratulations, Debbie. So I'll reach out to you, Debbie. I'll find your email, and then you'll select whether you want Bolt or Indy. And yeah, so congratulations on that. Well, thank you so much, Adam and Michelle, for sharing your expertise. I know you both have a lot of experience with helping people feel empowered to bring tools that can sometimes seem intimidating. And I personally thought it was extremely helpful. So thank you. And for everyone else, you can go to sphero.com if you have any questions about anything we talked about today, about any of the products. You can see information there, or you can email us, education@sphero.com. When you receive this, when you receive the follow-up email, you'll be able to see the slides and you can click on this. We have a survey in case you have any ideas for what you would like to see in Sphero Sessions topics. As Adam mentioned, but here it is. So you can take a screenshot or write it down right now. Mr. Adam Welcome, he's on Twitter and Instagram as Adam Welcome. And then we're Sphero on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So if you have any questions that come up later, feel free to reach out to us there, or just share what you're doing when you actually bring out your robots and are having a lot of fun with them with your students. We love to see it.
Thank you, everyone. Don't overthink it. Get them out and get them in front of kids and just have fun.
Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Bye.